Wow, it's podcast number 65. Is that correct? Yes. Another fishing podcast number 65. Time is just flying by. It's already January 12th, 2026. Happy Monday, everybody. Here's what we're going to be covering today. I know you're excited. I went fishing in open water again, but this time it wasn't on the, I wouldn't call it the upper Mississippi it's a big stretch. I would say it was in a deeper part of the upper Mississippi near Red Wing, Minnesota. We're going to be talking about that a little bit. I have been productive beyond belief. I'm going to explain why I've been productive and what I've done with my productivity. That's going to be really interesting. Using the Berkley Power Switch for ice fishing. Now, if you saw my last video, I tore up some smallmouth on the upper Mississippi where, the stretch of the Mississippi that's much more shallow and faster current. Oh my goodness, did I have a great time with the Berkley Power Switch. And I swear to you that I'm not I don't get anything from Berkley, okay? I just love the company. I know it probably sounds a little bit like a commercial when I get this excited about a particular product or a company. I am being honest with you. I just really like the company. I like their baits. If there was anything that I didn't like about the company, I'd tell you. But anyway, I really love the Power Switch, and you can use this bait for ice fishing. We're going to talk about that. Great write-up on what hard baits to use when ice fishing. I'm going to share that with you from Target Walleye. I get confused. I am not the greatest ice fisherman, but I think this will help me, and it's going to help you. So I was like perusing all the Target Walleye emails that I have backed up, they're emails. It's a newsletter, email newsletter. But I've got so many of them, and I just I try to get as much information from these emails as I can. And when I find a real good article, I want to share it with you guys. And this one's really good, so I think it'll be helpful for you. What else is going on in this podcast? We're going to be talking about why fluorocarbon is so great for ice fishing. I love fluorocarbon. I use it in ice fishing. I use it during open water, warmer weather, just, right on the reel. No braid or anything, just straight on the spool. I'm a big fan, but you got to kind of get used to using it. But anyway, we're going to talk about why it's so great for ice fishing. Crappies eat plankton? Yes. Wait till you hear this. Very, very good information, too, that I think you'll find useful if you're a crappie fisherman, an ice fishing crappie dude. And a viewer is a bit annoyed with me, and we'll keep that towards the end. It's kind of interesting. Let's get this podcast started.
This isn't another fishing podcast. This is another fishing podcast.
All right, so I went fishing for walleyes and sauger with a buddy of mine, and anytime I'm constantly in the wintertime, you got to be looking for little windows of opportunity. So I've said this countless times. If I am just repeating myself, you're annoyed by it, I apologize immensely. But here's the thing. I've got 2 warm water discharges relatively near me. I live in Minnesota. If this is the first time you're listening or seeing this podcast, I live in Minnesota. And as you can probably imagine, in January, it gets quite cold here. And things ice up. They're driving half-ton pickup trucks out on the lakes right now. So, so it's cold here, and most everything is locked up with the exception of the Mississippi River, okay? And there's 2 places of the Mississippi. There might be, is there more? The places that I fish, and here's the thing that's so hard about the internet. I don't want to give too much information away here. But there's a place on the Mississippi River that I fish for smallmouth that has a warm water discharge, and a place on the Mississippi River that has a warm water discharge that I fish for walleyes. I'll tell you where I'm doing that for walleyes. That's Red Wing. This is not a big mystery or anything. Red Wing, Minnesota, and right below, what would it be? It's Pool 4, but right below Dam 3 of the Mississippi River. Walleyes can get really just stacked up there, and saugers, and it can be really great walleye and sauger fishing in the winter, open water. It can be a real treat. But what you got to do, and this is critical, is you got to be looking at the long-range forecast. And if you see like, oh, there's a day it's going to be above freezing, and then you got to look at the winds, what it's forecasting, and then if it's like light and variable, which is awesome, or 5 to 10, you got to be like, okay, there's a window there. I think we're gonna jump through that window and make an attempt to go open water fishing. And so that's what I did with my buddy Wayne. Just lives right on the other side over here. I live on a beautiful little lake, and he's on the north end of the lake. Great friend of mine. You talk about a dude that is like, I am not a do-it-yourself guy, and whenever there's like problems with the house, I ask him. He comes over and helps. It's one of these guys that's like the greatest friend you can have, especially when you're inept, as inept as I am when it comes to like home repairs, DIY. Forget it. I don't want to do any of it, honestly. I'd rather like concentrate on doing like podcasts or just fishing or anything other than having to do something home related. But my buddy Wayne is just, not only is he a good fisherman, but he's just he's a handyman, knows how to, he's a savant, man. He knows how to, he's a what would you call it? He's a Renaissance man. He knows how to do multiple things very well. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm very lucky to have Wayne as my friend. And he went fishing with me. And so we went down to Red Wing, Minnesota. What's funny is I drive a 1995 Chevy Silverado half-ton pickup truck, and I have driven it down there before, okay? But in the winter, not so much, because there's a lot of variables with did I say it was a two-wheel drive pickup truck? It's a two-wheel drive pickup truck. And there's a lot of variables in the winter. You don't know if maybe you'll encounter weather going down there or coming back up, or you don't know what the road conditions are going to be like. What's the ramp going to be like down there? Am I actually going to be able to get my truck and boat out of the water? Is it, there's a hill there. I go to a lots. I go to Everett's Resort a lot, and that's typically where I'm putting in there. There's a hill there, and so not knowing the conditions, a two-wheel drive pickup can be very stressful that you might not even get out of there. So Wayne has been kind enough to tow my boat down there. And we've done it before. We did it March of last year. I think that's what we did. And so we just did it. I had him drive me down there and with his truck and got my boat in the water. It was great to get it started, get everything going. It felt so great to be out there, honestly. And you can do really well down there this time of year. But we didn't, okay? We did not. So what happened, there's a lot of different things that you can be doing down there this time of year. But none of them worked for us. And so, here's a picture of just, I had planned to film and just catch tons of walleyes and saugers. And maybe I should say walleye and sauger. I don't know. Should I say walleyes and saugers or walleye and sauger? Let's try walleye and sauger. Anyway, there's a lot of fish down there, and they can get really packed up, and it can be really good fishing. You can do a lot of different things. Kind of the no-brainer this time of year is just to have, it depends on the current. There wasn't much current where we were actually fishing right there, but you can just, use like a 4-inch like rib worm. Berkley's making some really great rib worms, but like beef fish and tackle. They've got their moxie worms. Berkley's got their bones, like the bonefish, and what's the other one? Curly bones is the other one that they have. But they're basically rib worms. 3 to 4 inch rib worms work great. You just put them on a jig head. Half ounce is typically, basically what you're doing is you want to be able to get that jig down, feel the bottom, and then come up, 6 inches or so, right? And just hold it there. Sometimes you don't even have to move it. You just hold it there often. You don't even have to move, but you can jig if you want. Water temperature 39 degrees. So, it's weird. Sometimes they'll want kind of a more aggressive presentation, but what I'm describing there is just, that's a more subtle presentation with the rib worms, but you can do really well, and the biggest thing is just to use, the heavy enough weight that gets you down there. You could feel the bottom. And that's really all there is to it. That's the number one tip I can give you. Like 6 pound, if you've never been down there. So like 6 pound line, I like using just straight fluorocarbon. And that's really all there is to it. Now, I've done really well down there with a finisher, a Berkley finisher. A lot of guys do well with blade baits too. So you can use, these more aggressive kind of presentations at times as well. And we did do that. I threw my buddy Wayne. He was throwing a blade bait a little bit. Also, I'm sorry. I'm still recovering from this flu. I still have a cough. So let me get something to sip on here. Stand by. Okay. That's some excellent Diet Coke. Yeah. So there's a lot of different presentations you can use. Okay, this time of year, which makes it really fun. There's just a lot of fish down there. And so, yeah, he was using a blade bait. I was trying the finisher a little bit. And then I talked last podcast about this rip fish, this new Berkley rip fish. I use that a lot. I was using the forward-facing sonar. I could see fish all over the place. I mean, everywhere. Like forward-facing sonar, it's one thing just to target individual fish, and catch them that way, which is really cool. Okay, I'm not going to say it ain't cool. It's really cool. But it also just gives you amazing situational awareness where you just can see all the life around you. Like we knew that we were in an area just full of fish, okay? And granted, not all of them are going to be walleyes and saugers. In fact, I actually imaged a sturgeon. It was like clearly a sturgeon with the Megalive 2, the Humminbird Megalive 2 that I have. And it was like, wow, that is a sturgeon right there. There is so much, all kinds of different species down there. There's mooneye, all kinds of different life. There's suckers, all kinds of suckers down there. So they probably weren't all walleyes and saugers, okay? But the reality is we didn't catch a single fish. Did we have some bites? Yeah, but we were probably bumping into fish too. And the only thing that made me feel okay about all of it was that everybody, except for one dude that caught like 7 that we met at the ramp at the end of the day. But most everybody, there was one guy that, 2 guys that were out there that were kind of near us. We were talking, and they said that they'd been out like I think much longer than we had, and they had only caught 1 fish. So, and they looked like they knew what they were doing, and they, I think they fished the area a lot down there. So that helped with me feelings. Okay, that helped with my ego a little bit. Not gonna lie, because you can like get really cocky going down there. Think, oh man, like you're just gonna catch fish. Sometimes it's just really kind of easy. That was not the case. So what happens is when you have a day like that, you just get a sunset shot. And boy, is this a beautiful, beautiful sunset shot right here. Looking out towards the river from Everett's Resort. Great place, Everett's. They got new owners. I think the new owners are doing a really nice job. They keep the place well salted, because they know that there's a lot of guys that come down in the winter. It's well lit, even the dock there, I think you could see it on the right. Like, I believe that's when you get closer to the dock, that light comes on. So guys coming in at night, there's actually really good night fishing this time of year for big walleyes. Takes a little bit more of a commitment, but you can catch really big walleyes doing it. And so anyway, yeah, you get a sunset shot when the fishing sucks. So that was unfortunate, I must say. But these things happen. It's fishing. Fishing is a what would you say? There's nothing given. There's no givens in fishing. There's no absolutes. So I try to just, especially as an older man now in my 50s, I try to just appreciate the experience, even if there's no catching. How does that sound? All right, moving on. So I have been incredibly productive, like beyond belief. So what happened, and again, let me take another sip here, my Diet Coke. What's happened to me lately is just kind of coming into the new year. I had the flu, and I still got a cough from it. But the whole time I was laid up with the flu, and I'm really not a good sick person. I haven't gotten sick very much. I think the last time I had the flu was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Like something like I really hadn't been sick in a very long time. And so the first 2 days of it, I had a fever, and I laid in bed, and I complained, and I had a headache, and my wife is way better being sick. Like, she'll go out and run when she's, like, sick, and I'm like, what are you doing? But I'm like, no, I don't want to do anything. And those first 2 days with the fever was terrible. And then really probably the next 3 days, I was really pretty off still. Really feeling rotten, maybe even longer than that. But I got to tell you, once I really started recovering, I got very, very like, let's get it on. It's like a new year, and I want to do stuff with this podcast, with Angling Uploaded, you know. And so I got like a wild hair. I'm like, well, and there's something else. I'm going to be quite honest with you. So, you know, when I was in high school, I wasn't a very cool kid. And, you know, I became more interesting probably in college. I shouldn't say that. That's kind of not the right message I want to be putting out there. What I'm trying to tell you is that I know a lot of people experimented with like marijuana, okay, in high school. That was not me. I did it in college, but I never did marijuana until I got to college, right? This is a long story. There's more to that college story. I'm not going to get into it right now, but I was not a big fan of marijuana in college. And what happened to me was at 35 years old, a buddy of mine gave me some marijuana, okay? And I got to tell you, I fell in love with it, okay? And one might say that maybe I had a little problem with it. So what I'm kind of realizing is that, okay, so what happened? So I am a fan of marijuana. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's legal now. So me saying this is, you know, I'm in the state of Minnesota where it's legal. I could talk about this openly. I want to be open with you guys, okay? But I'm really a fan. And what happened is that I had the flu, and I had no interest in putting anything in my lungs. My lungs were at war with the flu virus. And so I was not interested in putting anything in my lungs. So I really had not smoked weed for like 15 days, all right? And I didn't want to, even when I was like coming out of it and recovering, I was not interested in putting anything into my lungs. And so what happened is I'm recovering from the flu, and I'm like, I need to get to business, man. I am 50 years old. It's a new year. I've been sick, and now I'm getting to a point where I'm feeling way better. And I was so like motivated and I had all of this energy and I just started doing stuff, right? And the first thing I do is I'm like, I am going to clean out my dirty garage, disorganized, got all kinds of junk in there. I start like just cleaning out my garage, okay? And throwing stuff, taking stuff to the dump, taking stuff to Goodwill, and I've got tons of energy. I got my CPAP. I used to have sleep apnea. Well, I still have sleep apnea, okay? And now I have a CPAP machine, and so that thing, I got to tell you, if you think you have sleep apnea and you're tired all the time, you got to get a sleep study and then hopefully get a CPAP machine. It'll change your life. You'll have energy like you won't. It's incredible. It's changed my life for the good. Okay, so, but my point in this, excuse me, my voice is cracky. I'll try not to cough here. See, I'm not 100% yet, but I'm doing pretty good. But anyway, so my point is, so I basically, it dawned on me, I'm like, I am so like, I'm such a go-getter right now. It dawned on me that I hadn't smoked weed in so long that I was way more motivated to do stuff. I wasn't thinking about, oh man, I should get high right now and go down rabbit holes on Twitter, and go off on the internet and go get red pilled some more. I was just totally focused. I wasn't doing any ganja, and I had all of the energy and all the motivation. And so really, I kind of had an epiphany, especially at 50 years old. I think a lot of people, they got the whole marijuana thing out of their system, like even in high school maybe, or, and some people, college. I didn't get it out of my system. I came to the game like late, until I was like 35 years old, when a buddy's like, hey, try this. And I just, it was like it was so good, I got to tell you. And so I kind of fell in love with it way later in life, right? So it's dawning on me that if I need to be as productive as I want to be, like I want to be as productive as possible. It's not that I don't want to have any fun in life, but when you get, I'm sorry, my voice is cracking. When you get older, like I can start seeing the finish line now. Boy, my voice. Sorry. I might have to cough it eventually here. I'll try to mute the mic, and now I'm spilling upon my notepad here. Lord. But anyway, my point being is that I kind of had an epiphany, right? That, okay, I came to marijuana later in life as a fan, and I need to kind of I need to not smoke like I'm a teenager or a college kid. All right. So, I need to tone it down a little bit. Okay. So I'm only going to be doing like 2 days a week now, because I'm like, I want to continue to be that productive, where I'm doing stuff. I'm cleaning. I'm organizing. It's just like I just had an epiphany. It's like, enough of this. I can't be just, like a kid that's just found marijuana for the first time. This is ridiculous. So, that's my public service announcement. If you want to be productive, I would limit marijuana usage. Okay. Yeah, that might be controversial. I know there's a lot of guys probably, out there that you like it all the time. I'm not making any judgments, okay? I'm just saying, for me, I want to be productive. I don't want to just cut it out completely. Trust me, I really am a fan of it. Way too big of a fan of it to completely cut it out of my life. But I'm going to treat it like a treat, okay? Like Ben & Jerry's ice cream. God, that's terrible. Sorry. Yeah, I'm still, yeah, the flu effing sucks, man. Okay, so yeah, I gotta treat marijuana like it's ice cream. I can't be eating it, okay, or smoking it all of the time. So that's the big news, personal news I have for you. But really, here's even bigger news. Okay, so all of that work on my garage, throwing all kinds of stuff away, taking stuff to the Goodwill, sweeping out, just cleaning it up. I got these like mud dauber wasps that have made nests, right, in my garage. Well, I took an ice scraper to all of them, cleaned them all out for the most part. There's probably still a few in there I haven't, but basically cleaning up my garage, organizing my garage, and guess what I did? I had enough room to get my 18-foot Tracker Targa V18 walkthrough in there, baby. I just, it's really kind of worried me that I've had my boat out in the elements. You know, I bought it new. This is not a cheap boat. Everything's relative. It's definitely not cheap for me. And just to have it in the garage now, and it's just safe in there, especially in the winter. I don't have to worry about like knocking the snow off it. If I'm on a shoot or something, you know, in the wintertime, and my wife, you know, has to, like, I have to have her knock the snow out of it. It's just a bad deal, right? So I got that boat into my garage. It is a miracle. It's a New Year's miracle, baby. So, yeah, look at that thing. I'm showing pictures. If you're just listening to the... sorry, I'm trying not to cough. If you're just listening to the audio podcast, I'm showing a picture of my boat in the garage, more of a side view. And you could tell on the back there that it is tight. I mean, it is tight. Thank God for the swing away trailer tongue, but it got in there. Okay, it got in there, and this is how tight it is. The had to trim up the motor and then push it all the way to the back of the garage, and it just barely fit. There you can see the lower unit. The prop is just directly, it's touching the back of the garage. So, but I am just tickled that the boat got in there, and I want to thank Wayne, my buddy that I was fishing with down at Red Wing, for helping me get the boat in there. So there you go. Another sip. I am losing my voice, it feels like. Wow. Okay. So here we go. All right. So that is like the big news. Yeah, as far as personal news. Okay, so we're gonna go into the news of fishing. What's been happening in the fishing world? I'm turning the page here. And boy, oh boy, my voice is getting more and more shot. So we'll try to get through this, guys. But got a great write-up here from Target Walleye, the wonders of Target Walleye, and Brett McComas at Target Walleye. He does a fantastic job with the newsletter, Target Walleye newsletter. Please sign up to it, the email there. And so this is where I got this information. I'm a big fan of the Berkley Power Switch. I absolutely love the Berkley Power Switch. It's a soft plastic bait with power bait in it, and perfect for open water, but you can use it for ice fishing too. So check out this. This is a write-up from Target Walleye, and I think is good, useful information about this newer. It's not so new anymore, but it's still a newer kind of lure. How John Hoyer fishes the Berkley Power Switch through the ice. So I had great success with it recently in open water for smallmouth, but it can be a dynamite ice fishing bait. So Brett McComas here. We've talked about how John Hoyer works the Berkley Power Switch for open water walleyes on forward-facing sonar. but it's also become one of his go-to ice fishing baits. Catches eater-sized fish and big bruisers like this 20-incher he iced with his bud Jay Siemens. Or is it Simons? I should probably know that. Let's get this right here. I'm trying not to wear my glasses today. Okay, so I look a little bit younger. I'm being a little bit vain, but it's also kind of harder for me to see what I need to be hitting here. All right, so yeah, he broke down some of those tricks below after a couple of days on the ice in South Dakota when the fish's moods changed. He tied on a 2.5-inch size Berkley Power Switch in the HD blue wizard color and never had to take it off. I'm actually crying right now, guys, because my voice is cracking. I'm not emotional. I'm just, I guess, in pain a little bit. Why is oh my goodness. I'm having a heck of a time here. My eyes are watering because my voice is getting so raspy right now. We'll get this. We'll get through this, guys. I promise. Okay. So anyway, he tied on a 2.5-inch size Berkley Power Switch in the HD blue wizard color and never had to take it off. But he did have to switch up his cadence to seal the deal. That's a great looking bait. And that 2.5-inch size, that is a smaller bait there. I think I was using a 3-inch for smallmouth recently. Okay. So day one was all about slackline pops to attract them and get their interest. As soon as they locked on, I made them chase it up quickly 2 to 3 feet with a quick, sharp cadence. They would absolutely choke it. Day two was different. I would use the same slackline pops, making the bait dart around and call them in. As soon as the fish was directly under me and coming up for a look, I would sneak one more good pop in while they were 18 inches below the bait. The next step was easy. Hold my rod dead still at the top of the stroke and let the bait search back to center. This was the ultimate move that day, and once I figured it out, they were choking it just as good or better than the day before. Taking a sip. Something to keep in mind the next time you hit the ice and get turned down by a finicky Waldo. So this Berkley Power Switch, here's a picture with a power switch in a walleye's mouth. But it is one of these baits that I think is pretty unique. It is like a soft, I would say it's kind of like a soft jigging wrap, yeah. And so it's got that benefit of the power bait in there, which I think is a big deal. And it's just it's a different action. You know, I think with that tail, that flat tail in the back, it's just something they haven't seen before. So, yeah. I am a big fan of the Berkley Power Switch, and it is something I want to try for ice fishing this year. Obviously, it's got walleye applications. I think the crappie would really like it as well. So there it is, the Berkley Power Switch for ice fishing. All right, so this is the next. I think this is, well, when I saw this in the newsletter, the Target Walleye newsletter, I was like, okay, well, this is, they're talking about, specifically about Rapala baits, okay? So, but everybody pretty much has these kind of baits like this, in the article I'm about to read here, all, manufacturers have these different styles that Rapala is referring, or is talking about in this article. So, yeah, we're talking about Rapala baits, but it can really just apply to, think of it just the genre of the lure, if that makes sense, more than anything. And this, you can glean information that way from this article. Because everybody's got their style of jigging wraps now, or like, anyway, I think you understand what I'm trying to say. My voice is, I'm honestly just trying to not lose my voice here, if I'm being completely honest. Okay. Which wraps? So basically, Tony Roach here. This is from Target Walleye. Tony Roach, which wraps to fish when ice fishing. Okay? Lord. So, Rappala's got a killer arsenal of hard baits made for calling walleye in. All pull fish through the ice, but knowing which one to tie on when will sure help you catch more and bigger fish. So, Tony Roach's general rule of thumb is jigging wraps for early ice. Okay, so they call jigging wraps like glide baits. You know, walleye guys call them like glide baits. Okay, all kinds of different manufacturers are making glide baits. So his rule of thumb is jigging wraps for early ice, ripping wraps in midwinter, and ripping wraps are like a lipless crankbait, basically. And slab wraps later in the season. A slab wrap is a different kind of lure. I guess a slab wrap is a little bit more kind of like a new kind of bait, or a bait that's kind of, it's one of Rappala's kind of exclusive kind of creations. We'll talk about it here shortly. Here's Tony Roach with a big old walleye. That's what he looks like. Big walleyes, man. Catching them through the ice. You got to love it. Okay, so Tony says early ice in particular, you get a fair amount of young of the year die-off. So those fish will really be keen on jigging wraps. They fall with an erratic swimming motion that matches the struggle of those minnows. Very interesting. It's a fantastic bait for early ice, but also when the fish are really aggressive throughout the season in the daytime hours. I'll go to more natural colors of blue chrome, silver, and perch. In stained water, I will use UV colors. Even when you drop it on a slack line, it's going to kind of pendulum out, swimming outside your sonar cone and darting back. Gives you a wider jigging action than any other bait out there. A cat and mouse kind of feel. And jigging wraps really are amazing. I've done some underwater. I got a tank right over there. I'm going to be doing more of this here, but I got to clean it up. It's a mess right now. But yeah, I've done underwater with a jigging wrap, and it is just an amazing lure, you know, that glide bait style lure, how much it really does kick out to the, you know, outward. So, you know, which is great for ice fishing because it's not just, you know, you're not just jigging it in one area. You're able to kick it out from the hole, you know, that diameter of the hole, just to get more of, you know, more, I guess, fish calling capability out of it, which makes it unique, you know, when you compare other, you know, vertical fish lures. Although there is just more stuff available now, like new lures that are coming out that kind of do the same thing a jigging wrap does, or something similar anyway. Okay, so rip and wrap. So this is, you know, a rip and wrap's like it's like a lipless crankbait. Okay, so think of a lipless crankbait. I'm going to take a swig of Diet Coke here. I probably should not be using Diet Coke as the thing to calm my throat down. I probably just water would have been better. But whatever. All right, so rip and wraps often draw more bites at dawn and dusk, or in really stained water. They got a rattle that can help those fish hone in on your bait, and this is when your UV colors are key. It's like a beacon in the night. Later in the winter, when they're really not willing to go outside their strike zone to hit something, that's when I like to fish more up and down presentations like the rip and wrap. So this is a bait that isn't as erratic, you know, as the jigging wrap. It's going to be just more up and down, as he's saying here, is where that jigging wrap's just going to have a more horizontal, that's going to be more of a horizontal presentation. So the rip and wrap bite really heats up when we're fishing a little deeper and the fish are somewhat suspended. I'll fish it a lot higher in the water column than I would a jigging wrap. Okay, so that's interesting. That's really good information, I feel like. And now we're going to move on to the slab wrap, which is this is a bait that's just, hold on here. I'm getting all excited. I made quite a mess here. I can't see very well is part of the problem because I don't have my glasses on because I'm vain and I don't want to wear them because I look older. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so this is a picture of Tony Roach with a big walleye. Goodness, it looks like that's a Winnipeg walleye. It's a greenback, I can tell. Yeah, with a what do they call it? A rip and wrap in its mouth. It's a good one. All right, so when they're really keen on rip and wraps or jig and wraps, but just won't fully commit, a slab wrap is a great alternative. It is a real slow, subtle fall, yet it still has enough action to draw fish in. So this slab wrap, how would you describe it? So basically, it's a minnow-shaped bait, and it's got 2 treble hooks on it. Kind of looks like a lipless crankbait, but way more of a minnow body. Okay. And and the action of it must be pretty subtle. So anyway, I'm not familiar with the action of this bait. I'm very intrigued by this bait. I don't know how I missed this lure, but anyway. Tony says, I really like the profile on the slab wrap for later in the winter for walleyes and perch in particular. It looks exactly like the young of the year prey they're feeding on. You can add really subtle movements without a lot of action because of the weight. So it's great for panfish and finicky walleyes when the bite's a little tougher. It was really eye-opening last winter how many fish I caught on that thing. So yeah, that's an interesting bait, and it's more subtle. And here's a picture of it catching a walleye. So interesting too. He's got a snap on that, so something to keep in mind. Might give it more action, or it just allows you to easily switch out colors quicker or sizes. So yeah, I thought that was useful. Wanted to pass that along to you. As far as, what of these hard baits, and those are pretty, at least the jigging wrap and the rip and wrap, those style of baits. So the jigging wrap, like a glide bait, and then like that lipless crankbait style kind of bait. Those are pretty common. The slab wrap, like I was saying, I'm not exactly sure the action of that bait, but I just thought that can give you just a baseline of when, to use those lures in the ice fishing season. I thought it'd be useful. I found it useful, so I want to share that with you. All right, so my voice, what's my voice from 1 to 10? 1 being absolutely terrible, 10 being fantastic. I'm going to give it a 4.8. 4.8. Might make it to a 5. It's not ideal. Okay, I'll put it that way. But the show must go on, and here we go. We're going on. So I've talked a lot about fluorocarbon. How much I love fluorocarbon. I use it like exclusively for smallmouth on the upper Mississippi River. Out of my kayak, I'm using it all the time. This summer, I'm using 8-pound fluorocarbon. In the winter, I like to bring it down to about 6 pound, a little bit more, little bit more finessey. The smallmouth don't fight as hard. In the summer, they're absolutely insane. They fight so hard. So I like that 8-pound fluorocarbon. It's got great abrasion resistance, not a lot of stretch, so you can feel really well with it. Get great hook sets with it. And in clear water, it's just like nearly invisible. It has the same refractive index as water. Okay, so it is like nearly invisible in clear water. So that's why I love using it. And it's less manageable on a spinning reel, okay, than monofilament would be, or braid. It's got, it's a little stiffer. But once you get used to it, you learn how to kind of manage it, and it's just like not a thing for me. I love Berkley 100%, 100% fluorocarbon is what I use. And it works great. And so, excuse me, I'm a mess. I'm an absolute mess today. I apologize. But I'm getting through here. We're doing it, guys. We're doing a podcast right now. I'm still sick and we're doing a podcast. Don't worry about me. All right, here we go. So I don't, I use it for ice fishing. It's great for ice fishing. And so this article here from Target Walleye again, it's a Target Walleye kind of podcast here, guys. So I'm using my old eyes to try to pick the right article here. Stand by. Here we go. And action. Here we go. This is from Target Walleye. How fluoro fishes compare to mono and braid. First off, there's no one specific line type that's ideal for all situations. That said, that's why you should have a rod or two rigged up with fluorocarbon and how it stacks up, rigged up with fluorocarbon and how it stacks up against the other lines. So how it compares to mono, okay? Fluoro is going to be more invisible than mono, making it the ultimate line in ultra clear water or on heavily pressured fish in community holes. You'll really notice the difference when sight fishing for finicky panfish in shallow water. Fewer fish hesitate to bite. Try it side by side with a buddy who's not using fluoro. It also has less stretch than mono, which is going to make it much more sensitive and help to feel those light bites. Less stretch means more solid hook sets to really drive those hooks home into the tough upper snout of a walleye. Okay? All right, where are we at here now? How it compares to braid. There's no better option for outside hole hopping than fluoro. Braided lines will hold moisture, which can freeze up in really cold temps, especially when fishing outside the shack. You won't have that problem with fluoro. Fluoro does offer a little more stretch than braided line, but that will help keep the fish pinned. That slight stretch acts as a shock absorber to the fish's thrashing head. At the end of the day, you'll have less torn out hooks and put more fish topside. But here's the downside. Fluoro needs to be replaced more often than braid or mono. Braided line may last you an entire season or two, whereas fluoro is going to have more memory and will get the coils quicker on the tiny spools of micro ice reels. You can make it more affordable by filling the spool with cheap backing or old line, then put on just enough fluoro, say 50 or 60 feet, to be able to fish for the day. When the line begins to coil, pull it off and throw on fresh stuff. That way, a small spool can last you up to a half dozen trips instead of just one. All right, few things. Here's some few things to consider here. One thing to consider is how running fluoro can affect the action of your bait. Some fluoro actually sinks 4 times more quickly than mono. Its sink rate helps tighten up the line when using lighter non-tungsten panfish jigs. A quicker drop could also be considered an advantage. This allows you to get your bait back down quickly when on a hot school or to intercept that mark that showed up out of nowhere on your flasher, especially in deeper water. Downfall? Well, some spoons might not get the same fluttery look on the drop, though you may hardly notice a difference with the lower pound test and lightweight spoons that are most common for ice fishing. All right, so yeah, I am such a huge fan of flim-flam. I am such a huge fan of fluorocarbon that, and I was like, I just perked up when I saw that article in Target Walleye, and I wanted to pass that along. It's great. I use it when I'm ice fishing, I'm using fluorocarbon. I've caught catfish on it. I've caught crappies on it. Have I caught any walleyes on it? Yes, I'm sure I've caught walleyes on fluorocarbon. through the ice. So yeah, it's a use fluorocarbon. If you're not using fluorocarbon, I think you'll be really impressed with it. It works really well. You'll get used to it on a spinning reel. I think you're going to benefit from it. Okay, so how we're doing here? I am going to need some more sweet Diet Cola. I appreciate you guys sticking this out with me. I got some more information coming in hot. Okay. And this is something that I've actually, I've witnessed myself. And for the longest time, I didn't know what the hell was going on. And I've ice fish. One of my favorite things to do is ice fish for channel cats. And this body of water that I fish for them all the time at, you're looking for like deeper areas, like the basin. These catfish will, winter in the, the kind of the basin areas, the deeper, areas of the lake. You're, 30 feet plus. And so I'd be, fishing those areas, and, and then when the sun, the sun sets and gets lower, all of a sudden I just see all this life just start rising up from the bottom. And I used to not know what the hell was going on there. But this article is going to explain what's going on there and how you could take advantage of if you see that on your sonar, okay? So we're talking about crappies here and plankton. Plankton is a big key for ice crappies, all right? So yeah, when I'm ice fishing, it's like I basically am focusing on, here's what I basically, most of my ice fishing is crappies and catfish. I live in an area that's not great. It's not great for walleyes through the ice. There's a lot of pressure. I'm trying not to burp right now. I mean, I am drinking a carbonated beverage, so I really didn't put a lot of thought into this. I'm sorry. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so I'm focusing on crappies and catfish. I know it's kind of weird, through the ice a lot. This is an article that I was like, okay, if you're a crappie ice fisherman, you're gonna maybe find this very useful. Okay, so plankton, a big key for ice crappies. Deep water crappies can, if my voice cracks like a 13-year-old, I apologize. Deep water crappies can often be found following the vertical migration of zooplankton. Or do you say zooplankton? We're going to say zooplankton. Typically, we think of the magic hour as being sunrise or sunset, but it's important to remember that sunrise can be as much as an hour later under the ice, thanks to the lack of light penetration. Increased light levels in the morning trigger zooplankton. Oh, dang it. I'm going to say zooplankton or zooplankton. Such as Daphnia, to vacate areas higher in the water column and slide back towards the bottom. It's a similar situation towards evening. Maybe you've noticed the bottom lighting up on your flasher near dusk. Zooplankton will begin to rise. I am saying zooplankton. I guess I'm saying zooplankton. Zooplankton will begin to rise off bottom as the light levels drop, and they feed on microscopic plant-like organisms called phytoplankton. So zooplankton, let me read that again. Zooplankton will begin to rise off the bottom as the light levels drop, and they feed on microscopic plant-like organisms called phytoplankton. Fascinating. So I have seen this firsthand many times. Of course, you can see it going on around the weeds, but soft bottom basins in that 22 to 30 foot range are usually where the real magic happens. And yeah, so I have seen that on this horseshoe chain of lakes where I fish for channel catfish. And yeah, I'm fishing that depth range. And when that sun gets low, you just see the bot. It's really fascinating. So these zooplankton are coming up and they're feeding on phytoplankton. It's really kind of amazing. And here's a graphic here, topographic map showing you where you would be able to find these areas. You're looking at that 22 foot let's look here. What's the deepest this map is showing here? This green area highlighted looks like 26. So this area is 22 to 26 feet that he has highlighted of where these suspended crappies are at dusk. And yeah, and that's where you'll see this happening. And like, it's got to be like a soft bottom where these zooplankton start feeding on the phytoplankton. So what do you do now? Okay, how do you take advantage of this if you're out ice fishing? That's why so often when fishing after dark basin crappies, you'll see them moseying through way up high in the water column. Sometimes they'll bite, other times they'll just slowly fade away and barely give your bait a sniff. If you're using a little jigging spoon, you might see them slide up and go for the swivel just 12 inches above the bait. Or maybe you're trying to trick them with a plain hook and a crappie minnow, but instead they bite at your tiny split shot above the bait, up above the bait. These are a couple of the only times when you'll get an obvious clue that they're actually feeding on zooplankton and could care less about your little minnow profile baits. That's when it's time to bust out the finesse stuff. Light line, no heavier than 3-pound tests, and ultra finesse tungsten jigs are key for these filter feeding crappies because they have a compact profile yet are still fishable in deeper water. So this is really, really good information because if you're fishing those deeper, you're going to see it. If you're fishing those deeper areas and it's soft bottom, you're going to see this happen. And honestly, I didn't really know that's what was going on there. As far as like, I didn't know that crappies were actually feeding during this, taking advantage of these zooplankton and feeding on these zooplankton. There's a ton of different bait options out there, and you likely already have some of them in your box. I like anything that is small yet comes to life underwater with subtle movements, thanks to its tentacles, appendages, hair, feathers, marabou, etc. Some examples of what I'm talking about are baits like the VMC tungsten bullfly jig, Eurotackle strider fly, tungsten roach jig, or small tungsten jigs rigged with microplastics like the clam mackie, the jamie, the Niki, etc. So there's a picture if you're watching if you're just listening to the podcast, there's a picture of all these baits. And there's a lot of manufacturers now that offer just like these really great soft plastics to imitate these zooplankton. It's sorry, what kind of drives me nuts? Sorry, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here. I don't like that you can hear me clicking. You can hear my mouse clicking. Oh, that drives me nuts. I wish you didn't have to hear that mouse clicking. I wish there was a way to just select things and you not hear this. Here, I'm about to listen. Drives me crazy. Anyway, okay. Maybe that's something I could figure out later. Oh, this is terrible. Gosh, thank you so much for hanging in there. I'm working on here, guys. I'm bitching about stuff. My voice is going out. I'm coughing. I'm drinking Diet Coke. Okay, here we go. Where was I here? So we did that. Okay, so zooplankton, here we go. We're getting back to it here. I can't remember. Maybe I got off. I think I was starting to talk about something. Whatever, we're moving on. Zooplankton are virtually translucent, but basic colors such as straight glow, white, red, and black work great. It's more about the size, profile, and subtle action of the bait. If you're able to fish with a second line, don't be afraid to have a jigging spoon or live minnow hanging down there to help bring fish to you and keep them around and curious. But pounding your small tungsten fairly aggressively will also help to call fish in. But subtle jigging movements and quivers in place are what really will seal the deal. Good information there. I want to go back to, so he says, but basically, it's more about the size, profile, and subtle action. Yeah, so Yeah, so it's you can get so caught up in colors. Like I try not to get so caught up in colors, but yeah, he's pointing that out there. No, what are we doing here? Is that have we got one more here? One more talk. Oh no, that's it. That is there you go. Plankton. Crappies feeding on zooplankton. Really fascinating. And yeah, you go to the tackle shop now and you'll see just rows and rows of little bitty baits, soft plastic baits, very detailed soft plastics now for ice fishing. So lots of options, not necessarily even, you don't need to worry about live bait so much anymore because there's such highly detailed soft plastics now and super little awesome tungsten jigs. So you can really take advantage of those crappies that are feeding on zooplankton. So great write up there from Target Walleye. I think it's something that I've not thought about enough. But yeah, once you see that life coming up, that sun gets lower, it's time to really break out that little tiny stuff. Alrighty. Now, we're getting close to the end here, guys. My voice is, terrible, but we're nearly to the end here. And I want to talk a little bit. I got a comment on YouTube from a gentleman that I want to bring this up because I talked, I talked on the last podcast about how I haven't been wearing sunscreen. And I want people to know that I am not a doctor. I am not saying that you should not wear sunscreen. I'm not even sure that I'm going to keep not wearing sunscreen. But I do have a tendency to believe that we are scared of the sun more than we should be scared of the sun anymore. I see people, they're like, oh my God, they go outside and they've covered their body, their arms, like they've got these hoods now, and then back in the day, a hooded sweatshirts were that was the only thing that had hoods now, right? Now, I mean, what am I trying to say? Like a hooded sweatshirt was the only thing that had a hood. And now there's hooded summer stuff that you wear because everybody's worried about getting their ears exposed to the sun or their forehead or whatever, their neck. And so that's all covered now. And I even see some that have this like face mask built in. This is stuff that you would wear in the summer. And so full sleeves, their legs are completely covered. It's like, guys, okay, there's a lot of benefits to the sun. I think, and this is all I'm saying, okay? I think we need to be a lot less afraid of the sun. And I think you need to get some of that sun on you. Obviously, depending on your complexion, you don't want to be out there burning yourself, okay? Irritation, what is the term? Any kind of, you don't want your skin to be irritated like over and over again. And that whole irritation, there's a better name than irritation. I don't know why it's I can't think of the word. But anytime your body is irritated, it over and over again, your cells have to not regenerate, make new cells. There's a chance for mutation, okay? Mutation means there's a chance for cancer. So you don't want to be doing something that's like, burning your skin, especially on the regular. That's more of a chance that you will develop a cancer. But any kind of like anything that's going on in your body where there is inflammation, that was the term, inflammation. When something gets inflamed, that is not good. Continuous inflammation, because your cells are having to repair themselves. Your body's going to have to repair itself, make new cells. there's more chance of mutation occurring and cancer developing because of that. So I'm not advocating that people do what I've been doing, not wearing sunscreen, okay? It could be very stupid. My dad actually, I'm just so surprised by this, I couldn't believe it. My dad had to have a big part of his head, skin on his top of his head removed because he had a very bad form of skin cancer. But it's not like all skin cancers don't necessarily, my dad wore a hat all the time, and it wasn't like my dad was out in the sun all the time. He did, love to golf and, still loves to golf, but it's not like I think my dad was a sun worshiper. Okay. I don't think he was reckless with being out in the sun. And just because you have skin cancer doesn't mean you got it because you were out in the sun. Your skin is your largest organ, okay? So it can get cancer just, like any other organ of your body. Doesn't necessarily mean it's because of your sun exposure. Of course, it can be, but so with my dad, I was very, very shocked because this form of skin cancer is very rare and really bad. So I did want to say that it's not like I take this stuff. It's not like I don't take it seriously, but I do think though that we've also demonized the sun, and so I think there's a lot of benefits to the sun. Vitamin D production is super important. So I guess what I'm saying is, what I would recommend is that you give yourself some sun exposure. Okay, don't completely limit your sun exposure. You are a human being, okay? You are an animal, okay? We're like plants, I think. I think we need the sun probably just as much as plants do. So don't, give yourself some time where you are actually taking on the full sun, because I think it's beneficial. And before you, and just get out of the sun, or then protect yourself after a certain amount of time. I don't know what that is for you. Before you get burnt. Before you burn, okay? Before you burn, get sunscreen on. I would recommend that you just use the mineral, based sunscreen, because keep in mind your skin it's porous. So any chemicals you're putting on there is going into your bloodstream. So that's sunscreen to me is, I would say mineral-based sunscreen. Or if you don't want to use sunscreen, just put on the physical, clothes that are going to protect you, okay? But in general, I think people are freaking out about the sun, okay? Love the sun. Life, that star out there, okay, that's been burning for 5 billion years is our friend. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, I want to get to this comment from this YouTube comment this gentleman put up on the channel, where he wasn't very happy with me. So listen, I appreciate you following us here on Angling Uploaded at SDS Slim 6929. Beautiful sunrise or sunset photo in your picture there. Sure, you're a great guy. I appreciate you watching. Here's his comment. Well, my friend, you have some misconceptions. I'm going to turn 3/4 of a century old in 2 days. Happy birthday, by the way, my friend. So he's 75. This is 3 days ago, I guess. Happy birthday, my friend. He's 75. I worked outside all my life, was an avid hunter and fisherman, and have worked my hind end off trying to protect our resources and wild places. I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you. I was a child in the 50s during the polio epidemic and was super happy to get the vaccine. I have taken every vaccine without hesitation since, including COVID. That's where I'm going to be like, I wouldn't do it anymore. I wouldn't be doing that COVID vaccine anymore. Personally, not a vaccine, but what they had to change the definition of vaccine for the higher ups, the powers that be, to call it a vaccine. There's the problem with the COVID shot is that there's a lot of evidence that it's causing cancer and inflammation of the heart. And the fact that it was like done so quickly, Operation Warp Speed, the fact that we know that COVID came from a lab, was made by scientists in a lab, and somehow they make this vaccine so quickly that's got a vaccine, I'm using in air quotes, that it basically makes you make a toxic spike protein, okay? You are the factory making a toxic spike protein. And so I know a lot of people, a lot of my family members keep taking this damn thing. My friend who's done this comment, I appreciate you commenting, but I'm going to be really firm on this COVID shot. I am dead set against it. Okay? And I sure would like to see some accountability here. You know, I thought when Trump got in, I'm trying not to be political here, but I thought when Trump got in, Fauci and the rest of these guys that were pushing everybody to get this shot, that there would be some accountability, and zero, like zilch. Not getting the Epstein file, that's a whole nother topic, but it's like, what is happening here, right? So don't talk to me. I'm not going to get upset. This is a nice gentleman here. He turned 75 years old. I'm happy that he's watching the channel, watching the podcast. I appreciate it, my friend. I just disagree wholeheartedly about the COVID shot. But anyway, let's get back to your comment here. I am sorry. Okay, here we go. When I was in the Army, they lined us up and injected us with too many vaccinations to count and did not ask us if we wanted them. Like you, I am lucky to have great genetics, and many people have told me I look 10 to 15 years younger than I am. I have had 3 skin cancer procedures, including some minor reconstruction. I have been told by numerous doctors that I should have used sunblock when I was young because the damage that causes the cancer was done many years before the consequences showed up. Even though I had dark hair and am perpetually tan, I have the sort of skin that should not be in the sun. 2 dermatologists have told me. When they cut a large portion of your nose off and have to pull skin from your cheek and other places to fill the hole, you may change your mind if you don't succumb to a virus before that. Listen. If I don't succumb to, are you saying maybe I have succumbed to the COVID? Maybe this flu is actually the COVID virus that I'm recovering from. I kind of did lose my sense of taste a little bit, you know. But here's the thing. The COVID shot actually increases your chances of getting the COVID virus. So I just, in general, and then, you know, you might get inflammation of the heart. You might get a cancer. I am not worried about getting a virus, my friend. I think my immune system is strong enough. Like I said, I haven't been sick in like 3 or 4 years. Okay? And I've never gotten the COVID shot. So anyway, you do good work. It would be a shame to have that cut short. So as I cough and act like I'm dying. Well, I appreciate that, SD Slim 6929. I do appreciate your comment. And I don't want you to think that I'm mad at you. I'm not mad at you. I appreciate your opinion. And I do appreciate that you care. I really do. And so thank you for that. But I'm going to drop some information on skin cancer right now thanks to the power of AI. And so I asked AI, I asked Grok. Everybody's like got their favorite AI, right? If you're like a liberal, you're like, I don't use Grok. Elon Musk is my enemy now. So, those people, if you're like a liberal, you're going over like ChatGPT. You're a fan of Sam Altman, I'm not a fan of Sam Altman. I'm more of a fan of Elon Musk. I'm going to use Grok as my AI, although even Elon Musk drives me nuts from time to time. But here we go. So I asked Grok, X's AI, formerly known as Twitter, how deadly is skin cancer? Skin cancer is the most common type of cancer, but its deadliness varies dramatically depending on the type. There are two main categories: non-melanoma skin cancers, which are the vast majority of cases, primarily basal cell carcinomas, BCCs, and squamous cell carcinomas, SCCs. So that's what that gentleman likely has had. Melanoma, a much smaller percentage of cases, but far more dangerous. So there's those two there. So non-melanoma skin cancers, BCC and SCC, so the basal cell carcinomas and the squamous cell carcinomas, these account for the only overwhelming majority of skin cancer diagnoses, millions annually in the U.S. alone, although exact numbers aren't tracked as rigorously because they're so common and rarely fatal. You got to wonder, there is kind of an industry of, I think, removing these cancers that probably back in the day no one even worried about. But there's a lot of, I read an article one time where they're talking about how there's just a real industry that cropped up with dermatology where, they're just removing these cancers that before, back in the day, no one ever dealt with them, and they weren't really killing anybody. But now there's people making a lot of money just removing these cancers. So something to think about. So anyway, these non-melanoma skin cancers, so the basal cell carcinomas and squamous cell carcinomas, these account for the overwhelming majority of skin cancer diagnoses, millions annually in the U.S. alone, although exact numbers aren't tracked as rigorously because they're so common and rarely fatal. I read that again. My apologies. It's very rarely deadly when detected and treated early. Survival rates are extremely high, often greater than 95% 5-year survival. They tend to grow slowly and rarely spread, also known as metastasize to other parts of the body. If neglected for years, they can become locally invasive, disfiguring, or very rarely life-threatening, especially squamous cell carcinomas in certain high-risk cases. Worldwide, non-melanoma skin cancers cause more total deaths than melanoma in recent years due to sheer volume. So, example, over 63,000 global deaths in 2020 versus 57,000 from melanoma, but the individual risk of death remains low. All right? So melanoma, so this is the deadliest form. Melanoma represents only about 1% of skin cancers, but causes a large majority of skin cancer deaths. Latest 2025 U.S. estimates from the American Cancer Society and SEER, S-E-E-R data, says 104,900 new invasive melanoma cases, 8,430 deaths, about 20 people per day. Survival rates depend heavily on early detection. Melanoma is highly curable when caught early, but survival drops sharply if it spreads. Localized, confined to the skin, most common at diagnosis, 99% 5-year survival. Regional, spread to nearby lymph nodes, 75% 5-year survival. Distant, which means metastasized to other organs, 35% 5-year survival. Overall, 5-year relative survival for all stages combined is around 94 to 95%, and death rates have been declining by 2 to 4% yearly thanks to major advances in immunotherapy and targeted therapies. So key takeaways here. Most skin cancers, non-melanoma, extremely common, almost never deadly if treated promptly. Melanoma, much less common, but responsible for most skin cancer deaths. Extremely deadly if allowed to spread, yet highly survivable when found early. The single most important factor in preventing death from skin cancer is early detection. Through regular skin checks, knowing the ABCDEs of suspicious moles, and protecting your skin from UV exposure, sun plus tanning beds. Advances in treatment have made even advanced melanoma far more manageable than it was a decade ago. If you notice any changing or unusual skin spots, see a dermatologist promptly. So listen, it is a good idea if you have a mole that you're like, what is up with this mole? Go get it checked out. I've done that. I've had moles removed on my back. My wife just had a mole removed on her face. I'm not against, I go to a doctor all the time. I get a physical. I have no problems with going to the doctor at all. I'm all about it. It's like you take your car to the mechanic to get it fixed and checked out. You should do the same with your body. I'm not talking about being irresponsible here. I'm just saying that there needs to be some balance here, and that there needs to be also just an understanding that the sun also has a lot of beneficial aspects to it, okay? So that's all I'm saying. All right, so I think we're like almost wrapped up here. Yeah. Let's wrap this up. And my voice is still going here. I'm really happy that it hasn't. I haven't completely lost my voice, so that's a good thing. Angling uploaded news. What's going to be happening here? So I'm going to attempt to film a smallmouth video in the morning, actually, and then have that up at some point. Might take me a couple of weeks to get this up. I'm actually leaving Wednesday to film the first Bass Pro Tour event of 2026. Going to be on Lake Guntersville in Alabama. I'm looking forward to that. Because of that, no podcast next week. I'll actually be gone, but I will have a podcast the following week. We'll be able to talk about that event. Hopefully it's not going to be too cold. I am a little bit concerned about that, but I live in Minnesota. I'm sure I can handle Alabama cold, okay? But yeah, so that's what's going on. And thanks so much for watching, for listening. If you are listening to the podcast, okay, and you want to check out Angling Uploaded, you want to check out what we're doing on the socials. That's Angling Uploaded is our platform on the social media. So go to YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, or Instagram. You can find us there. And if you are watching this and you want to just listen to the podcast, we are available on all the podcasting apps. So just search Another Fishing Podcast and you will find us. And you can listen to us in the car, listen wherever, okay? And appreciate it, guys. Yeah, there's another thing. Oh, here's the thing. So what's really cool, like YouTube now has this affiliate, it's like an affiliate marketing thing. I don't know what the technical term is. Affiliate, I think it's like, it's called an affiliate program. And how it works is, if I talk about something, a specific lure, and you're like, gosh, I want to check that lure out. I want to buy that lure. Where can I find that lure? Well, I'm a part of this program now where you can, if you go in the comments of this video, if you're on YouTube, go to the comments of the video and you can click down, and if I've talked about a certain lure, more often than not, if that lure company is part of this affiliate program, you can actually click on the link. Okay, that's in the show description. I think it's where you can find it. Just look down, look in the description. You should find it. There's a place where you can, if I'm talking about a certain lure or something, you want to buy it, click on that. If you purchase a lure, I will get a commission. Okay, so it's just something to think about. It would help me. And if there's anything, I'm not going to specifically be like mentioning lures just so I can get a commission. But if I feel like it's something that's useful, can be useful to you guys, I am going to mention it. And if you buy that lure, I will get a commission for it. So that's just one way to support the channel, support me, and really appreciate it. So hope you guys are doing well. My voice it's starting to go. I think we're ending this perfectly. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in 2 weeks. Thanks, guys.